Why is it so hard to break bad habits? You start the day on fire, eating those greens, those fresh salads, but then the nighttime comes, and there you are, digging in the pantry. Epic fail. What are you doing wrong? Well, it's time to find out. Hit it! Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Welcome to a fresh new episode of the Fitness Avengers, where we fight fat, frustration, and fitness fakes. I'm your host, master trainer and author, Tony Arreola from TotalBodyProject.com, and I'm on a personal mission to simplify fitness for you. Coming at you every Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook Live. Dun-dun-dun. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's just not working. Don't you hate it when you're perfect on your diet? Everything's going to plan. And there you are, reaching in the pantry, getting those snacks, just doing all the things that you know you shouldn't do. Why does that happen? Why does that happen? Well, on today's show, we're going to talk about why habits exist, how to break them, how to think about rewiring your brain so that you can identify these key habits, these crucial habits that you need to succeed. We're going to talk about how to change. We'll have our Ask the Trainer segment where we'll talk about this question is something that I think we all resonate with is why do I keep let's see. Well, hold on. Pause. Let's see. Where am I going? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do it. If you're on the show, make sure you say hi. All right. Last week I streamed to myself, so I just want to make sure that people are on here and that we're live. Comment, say hi. If you have a question, drop it in the comments and I'll bring it on board and we'll try to problem solve your unique solution. Today's sponsor is our books, Tiny Habits. We'll be discussing that. Atomic Habits, and You Are Not Your Brain. And there was one more book that I only have the audiobook, so I can't have those guys present, and it's The Power of Habit. So I took all these different 4 books and I took my education from UC Irvine. And today we're going to really try to distill and break down into these habit formations of how they work and what we can do to change them. So the first thing that we all have problems with is we all start with really great intentions, but then life gets in the way. And then you are back in the break room when we used to be able to go in the break room, or you're digging into the pantry, or you're opening up that ice cream, or like maybe this weekend just digging into those old chocolates from yesterday from Valentine's Day. So how do we stop that? How do we stop falling into this brutal cycle of these nasty habits that keep showing up and keep wrecking our lives? So today I'm going to help you kind of tackle those things. So if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in there. But I'm going to really explain to you how habits work, why they exist, and what we can do to break up that pattern. So the first term that I want you to understand is this term called automaticity. And automaticity means that basically 40 to 50% of your life is based on habits, and they're on automatic land, meaning when you walk into a room, you turn on the lights. When you get up in the morning, you go to the restroom, brushing your teeth, driving the car, turning on the remote, maybe just mindlessly, opening up Facebook or whatever the case may be. Most of our life is just really a representation of our habits. And there's this great quote that says, first we create our habits, then our habits create us, which basically means that if you want to change your life and if you want to bring health and fitness or wellness or whatever life you're trying to create into your own life, then you want to make sure that you master these habits, these habit creations. And mastering the fundamentals of habit formation will really open up the game for you. What I mean by that is because things become a lot easier when you make these things automatic. Then it frees up your brain to take care of other things that you may need to take care of. So if we know that 40 to 50% of our behaviors are automatic, then why do we have bad habits? Well, bad habits, they solve a problem. They're pretty cool, right? So when you had a problem when you were small, maybe learning to tie your shoes together, not together. When you're learning to tie your shoes, it solved a problem. And sometimes habits reason for bad things too. Maybe you got in a fight, maybe Kona was acting was acting crazy, and then you got in a fight with your partner, and you just were upset, and now so you reach for some ice cream because ice cream, it makes you feel good. All that perfect combination of sugar and fat light up different parts of your brain, and you feel awesome. And the fact that you're having these emotions and these habits are really they're really solving a problem makes it likely that these habits will keep continuing forward. What I mean by that is when you start, like say learning how to brush your teeth, and you figured out like, okay, this solves a problem, and you start doing it over and over. Learning how to drive a car, start doing it over and over and over again, and now these they move from being something that was solving a problem to just being automatic because your brain has done it so many times. Now this is both good and bad. Hi Nicole, hi Diana. Thanks for jumping on. This is both good and bad. The good part is that it solves it. It's like a shortcut. It just goes automatically to solving the problem. The bad thing is that if you're encountering, like say you're working on a tough project, say you have something that's very intellectually demanding, and you're struggling with it, and your brain hits a point where it's just like, okay, this is kind of hard. It's going to want to jump out to do something that's easier. So maybe you want to jump out and get distracted to go on like an Instagram or a Facebook or check your email or just mindlessly surf the web, something other than not tackling that problem. The the problem with that approach is that your brain now associates any type of pain, discomfort, it's going to go to its pleasure place, which is getting distracted. So now the distraction starts firing all these neurons in the brain. Things start just firing. And now, whenever you experience any type of discomfort, when things get difficult, when things get challenging, your brain automatically wants to go to pleasure land, which is just mindlessly surfing the web or playing on Facebook or playing on Instagram or checking email again, or whatever the case may be. Your brain now associates discomfort with distraction, and now these neurons fire together, and now with the emotion coupled with it, now you're having a problem with it because now every time that you struggle with anything that's intellectually demanding, like a problem you're trying to solve for work or you're trying to be creative in some way, your brain now knows an escape route. And so because that happens with food, it happens with stress, anxiety, being scared, all these different types of emotions. Now these neurons are all firing together and making these habits really ingrained in our brain. And now what happens is the more times you do that, these neural nets really become really powerful, kind of like stems of these habits that you have. And as soon as you try to break away these neural nets and try to break into a new pattern, your brain's going to resist. It's going to fight because it's not used to that. And that's why bad habits or good habits are they feel good. They feel easy. And now the challenge is how do we make your habits, how do we make these habits the ones that you want? How do you make them easy and feel good? And how do we make the bad habits feel terrible and get ourselves out of that situation? So let's look at how to break these bad habits. So we want to keep in mind that all habits, eventually, right, you get some result. There's like a scratch to your itch, and that's usually what you want to break. What you want to look at is when do these things happen? And a lot of different researchers call them different things. They call them triggers, cues, prompt, and it's basically what's compelling you to take that action. So, like, say you come home and you want to check your mail. Maybe the cue is that you pulled up to the driveway or that you parked your car and now it's time to check the mail. There's some prompt that's queuing up your behavior. It could be when you're walking in a room, it could be a dark room, and that's your cue to turn on the lights. It could be when you're getting up, you're like, okay, I'm kind of, say maybe you're cold, and the cue is that you're cold, and so you put on a jacket, and you don't even think about the jacket, you just put it on. And I invite you to kind of take a look at your behaviors. How many of your behaviors are happening automatically without you even thinking? You're So many times people seem like they're blacked out and they have the refrigerator open, or they're reaching in the pantry, or they're just on their phone and they don't even know what they're looking for. It's just these mindless behaviors that just happen automatically. So the first thing we want to do is we want to catch these behaviors. We want to figure out where are they coming from, and what's the trigger. The next thing is the easy part, right? Which is the behavior. What you're doing that is getting on your nerves, or it's really deterring you from getting to your goals, whatever the goals may be. Now that you have that behavior, you want to get more of that. If it's a good behavior, if it's a bad behavior, you want to get less of that. So what you want to do is you have this cue that tells you, okay, this behavior is going to happen. Now you have the actual behavior, and we can work for a couple things to either change this behavior or to keep it with you. Now, what I mean by that, if it's a good behavior, then we want to have more of it, right? You want to get more of those cues. Like maybe you ate like a healthy salad and you like that. Okay, what was the cue, the trigger that got you to eat that healthy salad? We want more than that. Now, if it's a bad behavior, like reaching in the pantry and getting snacks, or eating some almonds and stuff and walnuts and all these salty snacks, and what was the cue, and how do we change that behavior? And in order to change that behavior, there's a couple different things that we can do. We can try to replace the behavior with a substitution, or by finding what is your real craving in the beginning. And the result is obviously what you get. So like so you had the cue, did the behavior, what you get afterwards. So maybe you're not bored anymore, or you're not upset for a little while, or you're not bored anymore. Now you got distracted, so that's what you got at the end. So when you're thinking about these behavioral changes with these habits, think about these different components. And I know it's kind of a lot to process, that your brain is happening and this stuff is happening in the flash. And the hard part is, once that you recognize that these behaviors happen in the flash, is we want to catch these things and we want to identify where they are. One good practice is called notice and name, where you find yourself being mindful and analyzing exactly why you're feeling what you're feeling. So if you're bored, you're upset, or you're feeling like you're just kind of meandering, like what's been going on? Why are you feeling that? And the more that you can catch yourself feeling these things, whether it be you're bored, or you just can't concentrate, or you feel distracted, or you can't execute on the nutrition, or you can't get yourself to work out, or you're just sleeping in, or you're staying up, whatever these different habits are that you have that you want to change, identify them, notice them, name them, and then you can really start breaking down the behaviors. So if you're watching live, whoa, what's up? Hi, Diana. Hi, Nicole. Woo, woo. It's emoji party time. Dun, 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 dun. So if you're watching, hit those likes, hit those loves. Giant head T. As we talk about one of my favorite topics, which is behavioral change, which I love. So now, when we talked about finding the cue, right? Which is what, when, where, and how. What's going on? How are you feeling? When you're drinking candy, is it the time of day? Is it you meeting a certain friend? Is it nighttime? Did somebody say something to you mean? Did you just get off a Zoom call? What are you feeling? So you can really find this cue that helps set off this chain of events. So that's your first mission in this detective game, is find the cue. The next thing is that you can replace or modify the behavior. So let's say this shows about bad habits over. Let's say we're talking about breaking your bad habits. So the first way to change it is you want to look at what's called the ability chain, and you want to make your bad habit as hard as possible. What I mean by that is if you're wanting to eat ice cream and you have ice cream all laid out in your freezer, it's gonna be pretty easy and there's already a spoon inside. It's gonna be pretty easy to eat the ice cream. Now, how do we make that behavior hard? Well, the first way to do it is to get rid of the ice cream. Yep, let it stay in the store. That's the first thing that you can do. If you really want ice cream, get in the car, go buy your single scoop of ice cream, and then come back home and eat it. It's amazing. Even adding one little step will make it less likely that you do the behavior. So if you're attacking the pantry, right, get rid of the snacks, put them in the back of the pantry or put them in the back in the top of the cupboard. Having the extra step of having to get a chair in order to get those snacks actually works to be a deterrent. If you like cold beers, put the beers, take them out, put them in the cupboard so that they're not cold. Whatever habit you're trying to break, make it as difficult as possible. Maybe you give your wife the key or your husband the key to whatever lock to get your chips or whatever. The next thing is you can make it expensive. Give it a price tag. Maybe you set a bet with your significant other, one of your friends, that if they catch you eating chips, you have to pay them, $10 or $50 or $100. And so adding this element of expense, making it a higher cost, will make it less likely that you do this bad behavior. The next thing you could do is add this time buffer, which we talked about with the ice cream. Because you have to go to the grocery store or you have to go to the market, there's this time buffer. So you can do that by making it just physically further away, or you can actually set a timer and be like, all right, I'm almost went for those chocolate chip cookies. Let me wait 15 minutes and add a time buffer. Then you can have a chocolate chip cookie. And what that'll do is really, hold on, Kona. Sorry. What that'll do is it'll make you really question to see if you really want the chocolate or if you're just bored or whatever it is that you can do. So those are ways that you can make the behavior hard. The next thing you can do is replace it with something positive. So this can be a little bit more challenging. So if you're bored, maybe instead of reaching for like a Snickers bar, which is that you can go outside and go for like a jog or go for a run, get some sunlight. Maybe you do some exercise. Maybe you write in a journal. Maybe you play a game to help you to get rid of some of that boredom. But be creative as you're starting to figure out solutions that you can swap negative behaviors with positive behaviors. So think about what kind of stuff that you can change. The next thing you want to look at is you want to change your identity. And I think as you're looking at this long-term growth path of who you want to be in life, whatever dreams or aspirations you want to be in life, at first when you're starting to talk about changing your identity, it does kind of feel like fakish. Whether you want to be an author or you want to start your own company or a podcast or you want to get promotion at your own job or whatever, or you want to be a runner or whatever new identity you want to identify with, it's going to feel like an imposter in the beginning. But that's the exact question that you need to ask. What would a swimmer do? What would an author do? What would a skinny person do? What would a really healthy person do? And when you can start asking yourself those questions of what would, the desired person do in this situation, then it's a lot easier to act that way. Because all these different acts that you do, whether it be for a healthy person, for a runner, for a triathlete, for a business person, for an incredible mom, or whatever the case may be, the more you start doing casting votes for that, the more you're going to identify with this new identity. And once you identify with this new identity and you feel it in your core, it's a lot easier to act this way. What I mean by that is like most of the things that I've done in my life, I've cast a lot of votes for in order for me to start believing these things, whether it be a triathlete, whether it be an author, a business guy, entrepreneur, whatever the case may be, you start casting votes. And as you cast these votes and you align these behaviors with your identity, then that's when permanent change, it becomes a lot easier. So I invite you to ask yourself, what would a skinny person do? What would a healthy person do? Um, and that will help you as you start making this change. The next thing is you want to get some social support and you want people to align with your team and really believe in you and surround yourself with like-minded people. You want people that are healthy, that are taking care of their livelihood, that invest in their physical wellness and their mental wellness, that are just generally supportive because it's easier to change like that. It's hard to change when everyone around you is just eating like a fat ass and just going to town. You're gonna struggle. But if you're like you have people around you that are healthy, they're talking about their races or their runs or their workouts or maybe they're working on a company or maybe they're trying to launch a product. The more you surround yourself with like-minded people, the better off you're going to be. And it's becoming a little bit trite, a little bit cliche to say that you're the summation of the 5 people closest to you, but that's true. If you look around, the 5 people closest to you, They represent who you are. If those people are supportive of your dreams, of your aspirations, of your new habits that you're forming, then you're gonna have a lot more, a better chance of success. If they're not, it's going to be a really difficult battle. So that's where like coaches help, peer groups help, friends help, significant other helps, other person helps. Anybody that you can get on your team to help you build this new identity and really help reinforce who you want to be and who you see yourself in life will really help build the person that you want to build. Right? Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome, huh? We're gonna become superheroes, superpowers. Dun, dun, dun. And today's client spotlight. Dun, 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 drum roll, please. We actually have her on here. Diana, can you hear me? Hello. Hi. Actually, Diana is watching the show, but she's not really on the show. We try to get her on there, but due to tech. Let's see. Hello? We can't. All right. Let's see what we got. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. All right. Let me rewind that because I have an awesome golden retriever who just loves to be on the show. But now that I got to rehearse my tribute to Diana. Let me go over the 99 reasons why Diana is awesome. Super consistent. Shows up to her workout all the time, no matter what the day may hold, even throughout this crazy, crazy pandemic, these crazy times that we're in. Dana, no matter how she's feeling, will show up and do the work and always has a tremendous attitude coupled with it. So I've known Diana now we've been working together now for almost 15 years. So I started with her when I was 3, and she started with me when she was 10. So we started very young, but now we both looked awesome. One of the best things about Diana is we were able to fix her shoulder through some rehab, through some stretching exercises, some rehabbing exercises. And I think what's helped us the most is that we've been able to really kind of solve the riddle of sleep. It's not perfect yet, but it's kind of getting a lot better. So Diana, thank you so much for your effort, for your loyalty, and for believing in me and my abilities. It's a pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to watching you ride this scooter. I believe you called it. I think it's called the scooter. All the way back across the country. I love this. Yeah, me. Like I said, we had Diana on live, but due to technical difficulties and my inability to schedule rehearsal, we were not able to get her on, but hopefully we'll get her on. We will have some guests on the show. So awesome, Diana. All right. Now let's see our Ask the Trainer is why do I always fail with my habits? Oh man. Yeah, this is the tough one. So the first thing I challenge you, viewer, is to which your habits where you're always failing with them is I want something I talked about earlier, which is notice and name. What you're struggling with is called automatic negative thoughts, and what those mean was what those are you're already going to a place that's negative automatically. And the problem is that as your brain goes to these automatic thoughts, right? Your brain kind of lights up. I always fail. Every time I start, I fail. Every time I start, I fail. I always quit. I never do this. I can't do that. Boom, boom, boom. You're telling yourself a story over and over and over again. And what happens, these things just become automatic in your brain. So whenever you start something that's difficult, you already go to a place where I don't want to fail. Whenever there's a struggle, you think I'm never going to make it. You struggle with perfection principle, imposter syndrome, all or nothing syndrome, the shoulda, woulda, coulda syndrome, the faulty expectations. So all these are negative thoughts that really get in your brain, and just like these thoughts manifest, they really are can be toxic for your thoughts and toxic for any type of growth. Because remember, neurons that fire together wire together. That's Ebb's law, and it's also the quantum Zeno effect. And more importantly, it's attention density. And what that means is just I used a bunch of words to impress you. Woo. But don't worry, we're not gonna talk about those big words. What that means is that when you have these negative thoughts and you couple them with emotion and focus, like you really think you're not gonna make it, you really think your habits are always gonna fail. Guess what you get of? Guess what you get more of? You get that exact thing. So the first thing is you want to start challenging those thoughts and breaking those neurons up and really challenge you to think differently. Think differently. And as you practice thinking differently, you couple it with emotion, you practice these new behaviors, you cast votes for your new identity. These new behaviors will start to take action, will start to form in your brain, and it becomes super easy. Damn. I think that was well said. We used to have fans on the show. Now it's just me and Kona and the sabotage mode. So, so hopefully that answers your question, viewer. Thank you for your question. If you haven't had a chance yet, join our Facebook group. We're at over 175 strong members. Please like, share this show. I think it's really beneficial because we all need help with habit formation. And if we can make more of our life into these really good habits, life is just amazing. These things just become a lot easier, and you can win at this thing called fitness and this thing called life. So I want to thank you for jumping on the show.
Watching
Thanks,
the Fitness Avenger live
thanks,
show.
Diana.
If you like the show,
Thanks,
make
Nicole.
sure to like it and share. Please join us next week on Facebook Live. This week's show is brought to you by our close friends at Total Body Project.
So next week,
Visit TotalBodyProject.com for more info.
we're gonna have the 5 most common and damaging fitness mistakes. And again, my name's Tony Arreola, and I'm here to share happiness and healthiness with you. So stay fit, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you on the skinny side. Woo!